brain tumours are the leading cause of death of kids from cancer. So a few years ago it used to be leukemia, brain tumours are now the #1 cause. And unlike the other cancers, we haven't really made great outcomes or huge changes in our outcomes. And for those that survive, they have a lot of side effects. So the current treatments of surgery, chemotherapy and radiation really aren't enough. So what's happened scientifically over the last decade is we have now sequenced the human genome, which has been a phenomenal achievement, which means we can now sequence the genomes of human cancers and particularly brain tumours. And this is an area that we are exponentially learning. We're rewriting the textbooks in real time, and we've for the first time learned about all the mutations that are occurring in many of these tumours. And some of these mutations have drugs that we can use to target them. The challenge that we have is how do we translate all of this into clinical practice at a rapid speed to help the kids that have been diagnosed at the moment. Yeah, it's a good question. So collaboration is really important. So meetings like this are key to bringing the field together from all over the world. There are a lot of different platforms now that different groups have designed to look for the mutations that are being tested in different parts of the world. We have to work out the best way to look for these mutations. We have to work with drug companies to get drugs developed for kids and get them into clinical trials quickly. And we have to design drugs that will actually get into the brain. A lot of drugs are actually designed not to get into the brain, so that's not very helpful for kids with brain tumours. And then we've learnt from adult cancers that tumours will become resistant to drugs, so we have to proactively study resistance mechanisms so that we can have combination treatments. Yeah, so I guess one of the areas that it's the most actually tested in is adult cancers, for example, melanoma or lung cancers. Melanoma is often defined by mutation in a gene called BRAF, which actually is also found in paediatric brain tumours. And so the drugs that have been used for adult cancers are now actually in clinical trials for the BRAF inhibitors. In melanoma, what the adult doctors have found is that when you inhibit that protein or BRAF, other proteins can actually turn on to take over the function, or you can actually get mutations that stop that drug working. So that's a possibility that we'll see in the pediatric cancers. We've found studying other inhibitors in other brain tumours in the lab that the cancer cells will find other ways of turning on genes, if not through mutation, sometimes by actually changing the chromatin or the regulatory structures as well. So there's multiple ways I think that they can become resistant. Immunotherapy has been very exciting. That's been the real excitement in oncology over the last few years. And there are definitely attempts to try and translate this into kids with brain tumours and adults as well. Inflammation, which is what is induced by these drugs, can sometimes not be great for the brain, right? Because you can imagine you have the brain and then there's a skull around that, and if you get a lot of swelling, then that could actually cause some compression. So the challenge in brain tumours is how to do that in a way that's safe for the kids. But there's some really exciting work going on along those lines across the world. So it's an exciting time. I actually believe, so I come from Dana-Farber, and Dana-Farber is named after Sidney Farber, who in the 60s showed for the first time that you could make leukemia go into remission. And here we are 50 years later curing a lot of kids. So I think this is the time for brain tumours. I see a lot of hope. We have learnt so much biology in the last few years. In paediatrics we work together, which is a really, really important thing. So I think our messages are that we need to keep working together, both in academia but also with industry, with the drug companies, and also with the foundations that are raising a lot of the funds like Cancer Research UK. It's going to take a team, but actually I'm really excited that we are going to get there.